Sixers had a tough one last night, losing 109 to 105 to the Miami Heat.
You are Locked On 76ers, your daily Philadelphia 76ers podcast. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
Thanks for making Locked On 76ers your first listen. We are free and available wherever you get your podcasts and on YouTube. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day. Hi, my name is Keith Pompey. I'm right here with my right-hand man, John Mitchell. We're the co-hosts of the Locked On 76ers podcast. We got a lot to talk about today. So first of all, we want to dissect last night's game. But there's other things I want to talk to Mr. Mitchell about. I want to talk to him about, first, the game. Secondly, Buddy Hield continues to show that he's better than just a shooter, that he can do more things than shoot the ball. And then the last thing I want to talk to him about in the last segment is Ricky Council IV. This brother looks like he needs to get a new contract. He looks like a dude that's like, he's better than a two-way player, right? So talk about that. And look, in addition to that, I want to talk about Daryl Morey calling the Lakers, asking for LeBron James. Like,
good call.
Matter of fact, we could talk about, like, because I come on, man. I ain't with that. I mean, I like, in other words, what I mean by that is, I'm sorry, y'all. Everybody calls people, but they knew there was no way in heck that they was getting LeBron James. No way in heck.
He's
so like,
you up.
Man. Nah. We'll get into that. But Mitch, the game last night. You know, it was one of those games where they fought hard. They did things, but they were depleted, like you said before we got on here. And they were destroyed by not boxing out. It was like the fundamentals of the game, they forgot all about it. I mean, the last 2 points that the Miami Heat had in this game came by way of second chance points. The Sixers didn't box out, and they got the rebound and did what they had to do. It was bad. It was a bad display of fundamentals down the stretch.
Yeah, and you know, Keith, it was a game that looked like from the outset that they might pull this one off. I had a feeling they might get it, but you know, the biggest difference I saw, you know, is, you know, you talked about them being depleted, and they really are just depleted, man. I mean, it's nice to get 13 points off the bench from Ricky Council IV, but when his 13 points account for all but 3 points from your reserves, man, you're gonna have some issues. You know, when you're relying on Ricky Council to do that work for you at the end, you know, or you know, when you turn to your reserves, you're gonna have problems. And you know, I mean, to a degree, it was one of those games where they're going into the All-Star break, and you know how the NBA is. These teams kind of, you know, half of them are mentally on vacation as it was. But that was a game that, you know, that was there for them to get. And it was a game that would have given them a nice little winning streak going into the All-Star break, particularly since they've got this incredibly brutal schedule coming up on them when they resume play after the All-Star break. But I mean, you know, credit to the Miami Heat, they came back off of a nice win over Milwaukee, and they had 3 guys that scored 20 points or more, and their bench showed up. So they deserve to get this win over the Sixers.
They did, but they had Duncan Robinson. Don't get me wrong, Duncan Robinson can shoot. Yeah. But it was times where they had my man looking like you know, like he was the second coming of you know, he was that bull, you know what I mean? Like he was just killing dudes. But yeah, you're right. It was a good one. I mean, the thing is, and I guess I really want to talk about this thing in this third segment. So I think we can talk about Buddy Hield a little bit in this one, right? So the thing is, the biggest takeaway from me is, and I don't know if this is going to continue, just because of all the guys are coming back, right? But Buddy Hield has shown me that he can do a lot more than just shoot the ball.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like I'm seeing that. Like he could do a lot more than shoot the ball. You know what I mean? So he had what 10 assists yesterday.
Yeah.
And he had 5 threes. Now again, the threes are a little bit misleading, and I'm not taking a shot at him, but I'm just got to be real. He started off shooting 4 for 5 for threes. Mm-hmm. He ended up shooting 5 for 10. So he was 4 for 5, and then he went 1 for 5, right? Mm-hmm. So, like, you know what I mean? But he is in the company of, there's only been 4 players in 76ers history to have 5 threes and 10 assists in a game. Allen Iverson, Buddy Hield, James Harden, and Tyrese Maxey.
Wow.
So, yeah.
In the history of the franchise?
And again, only 4 players to do that. 5 threes and 10 assists. They're the only 4. So when you look at that, that's great. You know what I mean? That's great for him. You know, so like I feel like he's showing us some stuff. My only question is, when everybody comes back, is he going to have opportunities to be this versatile?
I think he will. I think when they start getting bodies back, you're really going to look to him to hit that 3-pointer more often. Well, not more often, but that's the thing you want to see remain consistent, because when you watch him, I'm constantly saying, well, if Embiid were here and the floor was spread even better, how effective would he be from long range? I'm like you, Keith. I like what I see out of Buddy Hield. The 10 assists last night. When I think of Buddy Hield, I've always thought about, like everybody else, a 3-point shooter. I've never thought about a guy who distributes the ball. He's still, defensively, he has his shortcomings, and you want to see him get better there. But as far as a trade deadline move, it looks like a good move. I think he's going to be fine when they get back. I think the interesting thing will be on Nick Nurse on how he uses the backcourt. Because the backcourt's going to get crowded when Kyle gets there. When DeAnthony Melton is healthy again, you're going to have a very crowded backcourt, and we'll see how things work out. But again, man, I'm a fan of Nick Nurse and what he has done to put guys, as Andy Reid used to say, made famous saying around here, put guys in position to be the best they can be where they are, and I think he does a very good job of that. And I think that Buddy Hield will be fine when those guys come back.
Yeah, I mean, we'll see. We'll see, because the thing is, you got to realize Tobias is going to have a heavy load and doing things. You know what I mean? So so that's when I say stuff like that, that's what I'm talking about. Right. Because I feel like Tobias is going to a lot of that offense is going to go through him. So that's what I'm talking about. But he's showing his versatility. It's like to a point where, when Buddy Hield was at Oklahoma, we recognized him to be a sharpshooter. As not just a sharpshooter, but an overall player, like a guy who can get you buckets.
Right.
Now he's showing some other things. So he's showing that. He's showing that he's a good passer. He's a willing passer, so to speak. So we'll see, man. We'll see. I've been impressed by what I saw thus far. I'm gonna say that I've been impressed by what I've witnessed thus far, and he's a better pickup than I thought he would be for them. And I'm looking forward, like you said, we'll see. I'm looking forward to see how that goes when they're all together.
Yeah, well, it's going to be a nice test for him down the stretch, because they're going to need him to continue to be a contributor. They're in the 5 spot right now, and that's not going to last forever unless he makes a contribution. They didn't bring him here just because let's make a move at the deadline. They're treading water, and they want to, They want to do something good in the second half of the season. But right now, Keith, I want to talk to you and the folks about Robinhood. Did you know that even if you have a 401k for retirement, you can still have an IRA? Robinhood has the only IRA that gives you a 3% boost on every dollar you contribute when you subscribe to Robinhood Gold. But get this, now through April 30th, Robinhood is even boosting every single dollar you transfer in from other retirement accounts with a 3% match. That's right, no cap on the 3% match. Robinhood Gold gets you the most for your retirement thanks to their IRA with a 3% match. This offer is good through April 30th, so you need to be quick on it. Get started at Robinhood.com/boost. Subscription fees apply. And now I got to go, because this is financial stuff, I got to go over it. Investing involves risk, and it includes loss. Limitations apply to IRAs and 401ks. 3% match requires Robinhood Gold for 1 year from the date of the first 3% match. You must keep Robinhood IRA for 5 years. The 3% match on transfers is subject to specific terms and conditions. Robinhood IRA available to U.S. customers is available to U.S. customers in good standing. Robinhood Financial LLC, member SIPC, is a registered broker dealer. Hey, folks. Locked On has launched the first ever national sports 24/7 streaming channel on YouTube, and now it's also available on Amazon Fire TV in the free Fire TV channels app. Locked On Sports Today is here for you 24/7, covering the top sports stories of the day with the local experts of Locked On, plus our national shows covering every league. Find Locked On Sports Today. It's now available on the free Fire TV channels app.
Do it today, people. Definitely do it today.
Do it today, folks. Do it right about now.
I know, right? So look, Mitch, here's the thing. Like, we talked about it. We talked about Buddy Hield, the last one, and I want to move stuff up. Let's talk about my man Ricky Council IV, right? Now I'm looking at this guy, and initially, I'm gonna be honest with you, when they were like coming in the fourth quarters of blowouts, him and Trevlon, Turk Smith, I wasn't really. I mean, I know, I get it. They were getting buckets. They were getting like 17 points in 10 minutes, 17 points in 9 minutes, but that turned into like pickup basketball. It was like guys just out there going for broke. Some dudes weren't playing defense. It was just, it is what it is, right? So then all of a sudden they put Ricky in the rotation, a regular rotation, the last 3 games. And one game he had 19 points, right? The next game he had 9 points. And then yesterday he had 13. And I'm being honest with you, I've been impressed with him. I mean, I know the Sixers got extra roster available spots to get him. I think he's out playing that 2-way deal, man. I really do.
Keith, I don't think there's any question he's out playing it. I mean, let's be quite honest. As basketball fans, as sports fans, you always want to root for the guy who's viewed as the underdog. And also with the 76ers, you're waiting for them to stumble upon that guy, and maybe stumble upon is taking credit away from their personnel and scouting people. But you want them to get a guy on their roster who you said, I had some expectations of him, but they're not that high. And I'm starting to like the fact that Paul Reed has become that guy, a valuable guy. Who you're seeing him develop through the personnel, the personnel department, player personnel development department. And I'm liking the fact now that Ricky Council is going out there and he's playing. He's got that Hulk smash mentality. He's like, if you put me out here, I'm going to grind with you. I'm going to play some defense. I'm going to assert myself, and I'm going to give you some buckets. And we weren't expecting that. We weren't expecting any of that from him this season, and we're actually getting it now. So, to see him make contributions, I mean, that Washington, I thought they might have gone to Washington and lose, and then he pops up with 19 and 10 in Washington. So, he's outplaying that contract, but that's good to see because he's making chicken scratch as far as NBA money is concerned. So, it's always better when a guy where the expectations are lower. It's always better when that guy begins to achieve at a higher level. And that's what Ricky Council is starting to do. And again, a lot of what this season has become because of their health situation has been about, hey, who's going to step up? Paul Reed stepping up. Mo Bamba, we need you to break out of your coma. You can't give us 1 point like you did last night. You gotta step up. And Ricky Council is doing that right now. He's making plays. He's making a contribution. I was disappointed. I know they're depleted, but he had 13 of their 16 bench points. The bench has got to do better than that.
Yeah, they do. They do. And, they do. I mean, Campaign he struggled, man. He had a rough night last night, know.
And I like him. I like what I've seen from him so far. But
yeah. I mean, he just had a rough night last night. But I guess it happens at times, it just seemed like at times his shot wasn't falling. Now the crazy part, he looked out of control at certain times, but he didn't have a turnover. Like that was the crazy thing about it. Like so, he's just he's a fast player. He's quick. He
was
gets out.
He was dreadful last night, though.
Yeah.
1 for 7, 0 for 5. I tell you what, though, it's going to be interesting, man. With a name like Campaign in an election year, when people go to Google search, they, lots of people are going to be looking for local elections, and they type in Campaign.
I ain't never think of that.
I didn't think of it until you said his name like that.
Campaign. Yeah, he was just, he was all over the place. But yeah, Mo Bamba got to get it. He got to get a little bit more consistent. Yeah, it was like he had a tough time. He just had a tough time, like when he was trying to maneuver to the basket. You're right. Dang, he scored. and then like Turk Smith, he just came in because of Tyrese Maxey when he sprained his ankle, twisted his ankle, and got it taped up. So they brought him in for that little quick burst. But he's showing something. I mean, look at Paul Reed, 18 points and 12 boards. Now I'm gonna say this. Bam Adebayo was giving him the business for most of the game, though. Like,
but to me, he's one of the most underrated players in this league, man.
Who, Bam?
Yeah, man.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. But what I'm trying to say is, Paul, he was giving him the business.
Yeah,
but Paul kept fighting. Like he ain't showing. Right. He kept fighting. He kept fighting. He was battling for rebounds. He was doing this. I mean, you look at this. Paul Reed had what? He had 12 rebounds. The next highest total on the team was Maxey, the point guard, with 6. Right? He was the only person getting boards. He was the only person getting boards.
Yeah.
So hey, I give him credit. The young boy was battling. I like B-ball. He was battling, but early on, my man was giving him the business. But he kept fighting.
He kept fighting. And that's all you can ask him to do. I mean, Bam's an all-star, man. If you look at Paul Reed over his last 4 games, he's reached double figures in all of his games. In that stretch, he's averaging 14 points per game, and he's shooting the ball at a 61.5% clip. And he's averaging 10 boards, So, is he going to get outplayed and is he going to get outworked by a guy like Bam? Yeah. And again, this is where you hope that that Mo Bamba can get in there and just. I mean, I know he's built like a waif, but he has to go out there and extend his length and make something happen with his length. And yes, has to be a little bit more active, man. You can't. I mean, I only had 9 minutes. I know that, but you just can't. You can't check in with just with just 1 point. You really can't do that. But right now, Keith, I want to share something with people. It's called Hungry Root. Hungry Root is your partner in healthy living. It's the easiest way to get fresh, high quality groceries and simple, healthy recipes delivered to your door. Take a fun short quiz at hungryroot.com, and Hungry Root will get you your personal health goals, what you like to eat, the kitchen appliances you use, and more. Then they'll build you a personalized chart with all your grocery needs for the week and give you delicious recipe recommendations to put those groceries to good use. Hungry Root will recommend recipes and groceries based on your personal taste. So it's almost like you got a personal shopper, but you do, that recognizes what you like. But each order is fully customizable. Take their suggestions or choose anything you want. They've got fresh produce, high quality meat and seafood, pantry staples, healthy snacks, sweets, ready to eat meals, and much, much more. So here's what I want you to do as soon as you can. Do it today, folks. Do it today. Right now, Hungry Root is offering Locked On NBA channel listeners 40% off your first delivery and free veggies for life. Just go to hungryroot.com/locked-on to get 40% off your very first delivery and get your free veggies. That's hungryroot.com/locked-on. Don't forget to use our link so they know we sent you. You know what I want you to do, folks? I want you to do it today. Do it today.
Right now, don't do it right now, but do it as soon as
Right. Do it in about 10 minutes.
Yeah, we're about 10 minutes. But look, man, we talk about 10 minutes. We can make it quick. So, my thing is, and I get it. You've been covering the league longer than I have. It's called due diligence, right?
Mm-hmm.
It's called due diligence. And, you hear that, and people wrote about it, and I get it. But here's the thing. Daryl Morey knew there was no way in hell that he was going to get Kevin Durant. No way that he was going to get LeBron James. No way that he was going to get any of those guys. So what it is you make a phone call, and sometimes it's the due diligence call, sometimes it is whatever, but it's not. Now, to me, it's kind of like they traded James Harden to the Clippers.
Right.
They wanted to get, what's the one boy?
The guard.
Yeah, they wanted to get the guard. What's his name? They wanted to get the dude, and they couldn't even get him.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
So my thing is, we talking about James Harden, and you can't even get him on that deal. So you don't even have James Harden now. So how are you going to get LeBron?
Yeah.
How are you going to get KD? Right. So, my thing is, like, when I saw that, I hate to say it, it looked like to me one of those things. I know Daryl getting destroyed in Philly.
Mm-hmm.
A lot of people don't like, they saying you got rid of Pat Bev, you got rid of these other people, you did this, you did that. So it looked like to me, like, and I could be wrong, but it's like, well, look, the guy we're talking about is Terrence Mann. They couldn't get him. But it's one of those things where it's kind of like, look, this is what we doing. We trying. We working hard. We was trying to deliver a champion to you. But everybody knows they make those calls sometimes just to see. But then at the same time, you don't have the assets to get a LeBron. You don't have the assets to get a KD. Like, you just don't have the young talent. Now, look, if you're trying to give up Max or you're trying to give up Embiid, all that, maybe. But outside of that, you don't have it. And I'm talking about Max would have to be lumped in with a lot of other stuff. You just don't have it. Yeah. I don't know, man. I just didn't. That's just my opinion. I wasn't really feeling it.
I got a few opinions on that, man. Number one, I think it's been 40 long years You know, it's just as long as the Jews wandered in the wilderness in the Bible for 40 long years since the 76ers won a championship. You know what? If you want to go ahead and reach out to LeBron James, I mean, we all know that. We all know that's window dressing, number one, at this point. At this point in the season, we know that's window dressing. But in my fantasy world, I know it sounds crazy, but I know he's a free agent. I know he's got a player option, and who knows what that's worth. But I'm sure it's upwards of 40, 50 million. If you can get LeBron James here, just think of it. You know, I know it's the election season, and I've heard some of the most wild conspiracy theories ever proffered by some people. And you know what? If you start showing the Sixers are trying to build a new arena, let's face it, they want a new arena. And if you start tossing the name of LeBron James around and potentially teaming him up with Joel Embiid, even if Joel Embiid is on a walking cane, but if you can get that out there, people will start to say, it builds super buzz. And you know, at the end of the day, they want to build their new arena. So that's my conspiracy theory. They're warming you up now, so when they pursue LeBron James in the summertime, if that does become a reality, you'll be watching Bronny James too. But you know, it's you know that call yesterday was just basically, you know, let me make this phone call and let me plant that with a reporter who will spread the news like wildfire, and it did. You know, and I kind of believe, I don't believe in too many conspiracy theories, but this one right here, the LeBron James to Philly, I'm going to buy into that one right now.
You going to buy into it?
I'm going to buy into it as potential.
You think LeBron James coming to Philly?
I think there's a potential. Yeah. And I know everybody's going to say, yeah, you're crazy. Why would he leave LA? And I wouldn't leave LA for Philly either. And I'm Philly born, bred and raised, and not one of these Marple Newton Township type guys. I'm really Philly. But no, I think
you from plush West Philly, bro. Go ahead with that. Y'all had grass.
we did. But yeah, you know, if it doesn't happen, I think you're going to hear his name connected to the 76ers. You know, it's just the way this business works. I mean, let's look at the trade deadline. Look at all the mythological stuff we saw on the internet. It was had no more of a chance or a possibility of happening than we do of the sun rising in the west. You know what I mean? So yeah, I'll put that's my conspiracy theory. I'm sticking with it, man. You're gonna hear LeBron's name connected to Philly. You know, the Sixers, you know, Joshua Harris' sports empire is in Washington at the NFL, and New Jersey with the hockey team. And so yeah, why not talk about LeBron James and whether it happens or not?
LeBron James? Nah, man, that ain't happening, bro. I mean,
well, man, I'll put wood on it that fast.
I mean, it sounds like to me, like, I don't know, man. It just it just sounds like I don't know, man. It sounds like hope. Like, you know what I mean? It's one of those things where you know, I don't know. It just seemed like, I mean, you could try.
You can try. That's all you can do is try.
You could try, but also it sounds like to me, and I don't want to be critical, but what it sounds like is, I mean,
but you're about to be critical.
They've been getting destroyed because of people like, you got rid of Pat Bev. Yeah. You bring Kyle Lowry in here, who's a little bit older. You got rid of all these other dudes. You know, you're doing this and that, and like, but they're working hard. Just like during the trade deadline, it was kind of like, you know, they were linked to a lot of different players, lot of different players.
Right.
But then people like, but you didn't get the one player we wanted. Like, you couldn't get a center.
Yeah.
So then all of a sudden, like, LeBron comes out. So, I mean, I don't know. I mean, maybe they can try to get on. I just don't see it happening. I don't. Yeah. I feel like he's too invested right now. His kids are getting older. You know what I mean? You got one kid about to go pro next year. The other one is going to be a senior in high school or junior in high school, whatever he's going to be, right? So it's like, to me, like, are you willing to uproot your son and bring him all the way across the country when y'all had that California living for the last several years?
Man.
You know, it just seems like it's a lot. But that's just me, and I'll end it on there. More power to Daryl Morey and them for like making the call.
Daryl Morey got to do something impactful, man. We keep talking about his name. You know, he had OG. OG went up in smoke. We had Pascal. You know, any of those guys would have been devastatingly good for the 76ers.
Yeah, they definitely would. They would have been. But look, it was a good show today. Good breaking bread with you, talking to you the whole nine. We want to thank y'all for listening. We want y'all to know that thanks for listening to Locked On 76ers every day. We are free and available wherever you get your podcasts and on YouTube. We're part of the Locked On Podcast Network. Your team every day. Peace.
Out, y'all.